Yo, it's Guido coming at you with a tactics talk. You know, on the channel we talk a lot about if you win your flank, be very careful about mindlessly pushing to their cap. And if you win your flank and you haven't found any of them, be extremely extra careful about just pushing into their cap. And you will notice we're already about a minute and a half into this. We've come to the north. There was no fight up here. They had nobody. Look how far forward the Progetto 46 is. And we have a good 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1/3 of our tanks. A little bit over because one of our tanks is an artillery. You'll notice that the south doesn't have a whole lot going on. Neither does the middle. And we have a significant amount of TD campers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. So it's really only 3 tanks versus whatever they've pushed forward. And then, of course, they're going to have the requisite campers as well. So what do you do in this situation? I thought this was a great example. Well, I'm not going to continue to push. All right, so let's just watch this play out. I've already noticed this happen. Progetto pushes in. He starts taking on the 5100, but he's going to get absolutely shredded because there's about 82 bazillion TDs up there, give or take a million or so. So he does a decent job surviving, but he's over there just getting wrecked. Now, just think about that for a minute, right? You won the flank, but there's no... We're having a problem here. You've won the flank, but there's no dead enemy tanks yet. You know there's going to be guys up on the cap. You're alone in a Progetto, completely overextended, and dying, right? So that was absolutely not the time to go, I'm flanking, and feel like, holy cow, yeah, here comes the Rompel Stomp. Man, the Rompel Stomp, you're about to get Rompel Stomped yourself right here. This is not a Rompel Stomp situation. There is no foot on the accelerator right now. What we have found out is they didn't come to this flank. So with that many tanks left on the roster up there, what we now know is that they're not here. They're all either on cap or in the southwest, which is useful information and gives us control of this part of the map, but it doesn't mean we've won the game in any way whatsoever, especially if they figure out the same thing and start stomping on our weak side flank. So this is a great example. It's what it looks like, guys. This is a classic example of what it looks like. I'm going to move to the middle and go, all right, am I going to maybe get some shots on guys here? I really thought about coming up and over. You do not want to do that at this part of the game because more than likely someone's right down here or somebody with some decent vision is up here on the ridge, and as soon as I pop over, I'm going to get shot by the other 82 bazillion tanks that are out there. So I'm going to go where we're weak, into the middle. Got decent mobility. Now notice the Progetto's there, so the T-77 sort of stops, and we've got also a 122. And what do they do? I would have really loved to have seen them come my way. It is slightly dangerous in that it's a possibility that if you abandon the flank completely, they might fill in that void and then come around to the side. That possibility is much less than the possibility of their campers continuing to camp. Rarely does a team who's going to camp have enough SA to make a counter push like that, especially not in a timely manner. You may eventually see it if it's a long drawn out game, but it's less likely than what you're about to see here, which is they all hang out at their cap. Now let's talk about it for just a little bit more, because some of you are probably going, well, it seems to be working. Yeah, it does. But I would have liked to have seen a couple more come with me. And quite honestly, not that, well, yeah, sure, let's just pat ourselves on the back right here a little bit. One of the reasons we don't really lose the middle or have more trouble is I bring my hit points and my gun and some aggression down here, and I sort of help out the Caernarvon, which got beat up trying to hold it. Good on him. And the M3Y, which is still sitting back here trying to be careful. And of course, our campers, like what's going on with these guys? Who knows? You know, if they just saw everything developing, maybe they push up and help, but they're all just going to sit back. So somebody's got to freaking do this, man. Right? Somebody on your team has to be the person who is willing to react to the situation, bring their gun where it needs to be, bring a little aggression and spotting, get in there and get shots. And it may as well be you. It may as well be you. That's the way I see it anyway. I don't play the game to sit in the back the entire game, although on occasion I do, just based on situations. But this is much more fun to me. Fortunately, I missed that shot. I can get up here, start getting a little bit of spotting, even in the TD, get that big gun this thing has into the fight. I'm like, oh, nice. There's a guy right there. What about this dude? Another Kari, so we'll just come up. He's trying to get away and whack with a nice little track. A whack a track. Get some assists, get some damage. Whatever. Got spotted, no big deal. We got a bit of an advantage. Look what's going on with our little push, though, right, guys? We lost the T-77. He's dead. The 122 is doing what he can. The Lurva's pushed up, but he's pinned down. And again, like I said, there's certainly the argument and discussion that their ability to move up and at least keep the enemy team's heads down right there is good. But I'd much rather move to a part of the map that's a little bit more open with some better shots than sort of going up and playing peekaboo games with campers. In addition, these are the aggressive players the team has left over here, the enemy team. These are the guys you want to kill. Generally, these are the better players. Now, you can have some of your good players, especially in this part of the match. A lot of very good players will pull back because they realize their team is losing, so you don't want to just go walking into them. But you can clean up what's left of their aggressive guys and then worry about the camping dudes, right? Whether they be the good players or the bad players are still just sitting up there. Oh, that's a bummer. So 1,533 damage, 288 assist. Looking for a few shots there. The reason I'm not just driving around taking on the Caliban is generally you're going to have a TD or two sitting up here. But actually, if I count noses, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I just missed that 1, 2, 3. So there you go. There is actually, I just noticed it right now, to be quite honest with you. I've made a mistake right here. I needed to get down there and start taking on the Caliban because that's all their tanks, fellas. That's all they have left. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, there's one more. 5. There is one more. There's a Sturv. All right, so maybe the Sturv's up here. Let's find out where the Sturv actually ends up being. After all of that, what I mean is if you come around the corner on the Caliban on that part of the map, kind of like the M3 is doing, sometimes you can eat a lot of shots from the TDs. But I like that the M3Y is doing that, so I want to push in there and start helping this guy. We do want to watch out and try not to get Calibanned, but he takes a hit from the ship tick. Then I'm going to make a mistake and shoot into that highly angled turret there and bounce off that. No surprise there. Thinking about coming at him, and I like this from the Caliban. He says, screw it, I'm going to try to get around the side of this guy. Boom, so we get him knocked out. That'll work. We're up to 1,600 damage. Meanwhile, their Hori 2 died. I noted that, so I'm not worried about driving where I did. We'll come up. There's the Sturv. All right, so he was not on their cap. Just keep on coming until we get a nice little aimed-in shot on this guy. We'll nuke him. Brings us up over 2,000, 3 kills. And it's clean up on aisle 2 at this point. Don't think I get any shots until move across here. Thought about going after the Udez, but he's lost a bunch of hit points, so he's nearly dead. I check him. Yeah, I'm not going to worry about that. There's 4 or 5 guys. I'll never get a shot. But I will potentially get a shot on the T-34. We got the Udez who's about to dive bomb this guy. Get him, Udez. Oops. Oopses is now on 6 hit points. He gets nuked by the T-34. So I come in and bounce. I try to sneak a shot on the lure, and the low misses. And then somebody else absolutely misses, so I'm going to get a little bit more damage out of this because the T-34 survives 3 shots it maybe shouldn't have, although it wouldn't have taken all of its hit points. And there you go, 2,589, 459 assists. Let me know what you think about that. I know there are people who would probably rather push into their cap. I think the example is solid in terms of at the time when I made the decision to not go to their cap, there were just too many tanks left in the game, basically all of them. There was no real reason to go let the guys at their cap play. It was useful that a couple of our players went and kept their heads down and kept them busy. They weren't really able to flex and reorient themselves to another flank, although actually they could have. Maybe a couple of them could have. Good news is the enemy team was quite campy as well, and that helps us out. But these are all the calculations and the things, the SA gathering you get during the game. I just feel for me, when I win a flank like that and that really there wasn't a fight and I haven't created any real advantage other than map control, I'm going to go where the rest of their aggressive players are. I'm going to go ahead and fill back in to where our team needs help defeating their decent players, kill all those guys off, and then when you've got total map control, you can put a crossfire in the campers and they disintegrate pretty quickly. And that, it really, there is no other more basic way to win this game. There really isn't. That's basically this entire map or match, and it was a bit of a rompelstomp at the end, was just a classic example of one flank left alone. We notice that a couple of us flex over to go where we need to be. We shred the rest of their aggressive players, and their campers get crushed because they're in a crossfire. You do that consistently, what I did, or something similar to it, and you are at 50% or lower, you will raise your win rate overnight by about 5%. I guarantee it. And what I mean by consistently is you learn how to do it, and you get better at it, and you start to notice examples of it, and then you are able to see it happening soon enough that you can react to it. You will absolutely raise your win rate by 5%. After that, after about the 55%, and that's about where people, 55% is pretty much a player that does this a lot of times. Then it becomes much more nuanced after that to start eking out the extra percentage. These are now decisions late and mid-game on close games that you're going to start bringing into the fold and bringing into the win rate. But just the gross muscle movement of when your flank, go somewhere else, stop pushing into their cap. If you can stop doing that in the vast majority of situations, you're probably doing it now, you will increase your win rate. All right. Sometimes that is the right answer, but it is well more an example of what you saw here being the right answer. Have I beat that dead horse? Man, I probably weekly we talk about that. But it is one of the things you can see. Once you start seeing it in matches, stick around if you don't do that. Stick around in games where you die early and kind of watch what's going on. You know, if you're not really just grinding and I got to get to the next game, stick around and watch it and then see if you can see that actually happening to your team or happening to the other team, because you can see it on the other side too. Even though you don't have all perfect SA on where everything is, you can kind of see if the enemy team's also doing that, and then watch how many times it wins and how many times it loses. That's all I've got for today. We will see ya.